We're already at the music.
Well, that's our life's lesson for today. Thank you very much.
Has someone lied to you? Has someone misled you? Has someone told you a half-truth, a complete falsehood, or engaged in an act of verbal hypocrisy? If so, damn it, do something about it. Call this number, 312-644-6767.
Hey, buddy.
It's time for...
Who you crappin'?
On WSCR The Score.
I've listened to so much crap in the last 2 weeks.
Hey, buddy.
You know, you hear all that crap, but I understood that crap was going to come with the territory.
Hey, buddy.
But I'll live with the crap.
Buddy.
And I feel very good.
He's a disgruntled Scottish guard known for his lethal temper and his unusual eating habits. He weighs a metric ton. His name, Fat Bastard.
One of the things, Mike, that's been pointed out over the course of today and last night after the game is that you seem resigned to the fate after the game, that there wasn't much fire in you, and you sort of stood up before the media and said, well, you know, this is the way it is. Are you resigned to this fate?
You're the same guy that wrote about me when I did have the fire, that was the wrong thing to do. So who you crapping?
Well, I'm just asking.
Don't crap me now. No.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
Keep in touch.
All right.
Honesty is such a lonely word. Everyone is so...
Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Just can't keep his big mouth shut.
That's all I ever get from you. I thought by now you'd realize.
Mr. Mouth.
Mr. Dabrowski.
And it is indeed time for our signature segment here on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. Boers Bernstein. And I just love to keep this simple. Limit this to something someone said, not something someone did.
And we will start with a man who will probably be out tomorrow when we go to Lawler's 10-foot midget in Beverly on The Score.
Only if the check clears from CBS. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, Dan, you described your radio partner as being very much like Don Quixote. And in an effort to complete the literary analogy, you chose for Terry Dopanza the immortal Petanders. I'm sorry, but I have to show you the error of your ways. Petanders isn't even close in comparison to one of my favorite literary characters of all time. For example, while both are illiterate, Sancho has a voracious appetite for knowledge and retains it. Have you ever tried to talk to Pat about anything of substance? It's like trying to stick an ice cube on a soccer ball. Sancho is known for being quite portly. Pat could butt floss a house cat with his torso. And most of all, Sancho is one of the more famous literary symbols of pragmatism and level-headedness. I've seen Petanders at certain businesses late at night on weekends in our neighborhood, and I have to say that a white guy dancing with the female equivalent of Bob Hoskins to Belle Biv DeVoe's Poison at 3 a.m. isn't what most would consider level-headed. I can't see any similarities between the two outside of their poor dental work and penchant for riding an ass, if you know what I mean. Pat, I'm a bad guy, and I apologize. Dan Bernstein, however, who are you clapping?
Wow, I didn't know this came up.
Wow. But a broadside for Placido Petanders.
My guy, hold on a minute.
Wow.
I hate gay people.
Oh, that's great. This is from Dave in Iowa City. This goes out to you, Bernstein. Today you reiterated your disdain for circuses, sarcastically reasoning you wouldn't go see crying animals. Of course circuses aren't fun for animals. Dan, anyone paying attention can see that, but you're the same unabashed carnivore that never misses an opportunity to revel in the finger-licking goodness of all things meat. Actually, I just got done doing that, didn't I? It says, when it comes down to it, the only real difference between the factory farmed animals you eat, who live short, cramped lives and meet terrifying, painful deaths, and those of the crying animals of the circus is that you never see their suffering close up. That, and you probably wouldn't eat the dancing bear, even with Daniel's mustard belt at the ready. So, Dan, the next time you feel inclined to rightfully diss Barnum and Bailey for being a depressing torture fest, go a step further and skip the drive-thru for a while. Think about where your food comes from, or ask yourself, who am I crapping? All right, well, hey, what can I say? Unemployed lawyer in Lakeview. You are on The Score.
Hey, guys.
Lawyer!
Well, hopefully soon. Appearing on Oprah last September, Erin Andrews described the moment she realized that Peeping Tom had posted nude photos of her on the internet, saying, quote, "I opened up the computer, could hear my heart pounding, saw it for 2 seconds, and got hysterical." On the phone with her parents, quote, "They thought I was physically injured. That's how bad I was screaming." Tuesday on Dancing with the Stars, Andrews was asked what it was like being in the bottom 2 the previous week and facing elimination. Quote, "It was the grossest feeling I ever had." Erin Andrews, who you crappin'?
Nice. If you want to jump in, we have a line open for you at 312-644-6767. If you have one for us and you're not a complete Todd, they will place you up there.
I thought he was going a different direction with that, but I have not watched. Usually there's something at this point, because you've been several weeks now, I have not watched a single minute of this particular edition of Dancing with the Stars, and this remains like one of their highest rated ones ever, with a cast of nothing. Really?
This from Streeterville Dope. It said, "It's for you, Bernstein."
Oh, my God. Oh, no.
This March, like every year, Dan pleaded with the Chicago baseball fan to not overreact to the beginning of baseball season and to avoid making sweeping conclusions until sometime around the 60-game mark.
Uh-oh.
Too many flukes and anomalies need to be ironed out in those first few weeks, and we need a good sample size before we can really believe our eyes, Dan told us. So I was shocked to hear Tuesday Dan speaking of how little hope there was for our hometown White Sox, and that he was basically resigned to his fate, that the White Sox would once again kill his dog based on their uninspiring first 32 games. The White Sox play in the wasteland that is the AL Central, comprised of teams unlikely to run away and hide. Is the Sox 13-19 start promising? Of course not. Is it a sign of sure doom? Probably not. The last 4 AL Central winners' record after those games were 15-17, 15-17, 20-12, and 13-19. A hot start in this division has actually been the exception to the rule. The Twins started the first 32 games well, as they should. In 20 of those games, they faced the 4 worst teams in the league: Orioles, Angels, Royals, and Indians, with a combined run differential of -183. The Sox, on the other hand, have already played 17 times against the top 4 teams in the league. Next month, the Sox schedule lightens, while the Twins will meet the Yankees, Rays, Rangers, etc. for the first time. In a month when this is evened out, we'll have a much more accurate reading of how good both teams are. Will the Sox play any better? Nobody knows. It's possible they do and get hot. They can also play worse, but nobody knows. You have 2 choices, Dan. You can begin preparing the dog eulogy while buying your San Diego Padres World Series tickets and Carlos Silva's Cy Young shirt, or you can take your own advice to let some things even out, gather a more substantial sample size to make a better judgment, and ask yourself, who am I crapping?
I'm with him. See, I know that. That's why I'm telling you that the schedule has not been, and again, I don't think the White Sox are any good, but the schedule, difficult. The Twins schedule, not so much.
312-644-6767, and Gary in Evanston on Who You Crappin' on the score.
Hey, guys, today is the sad 30th anniversary of the tragic death of the great Dan Blocker. And
Gary, how many days has he died on?
Yeah, let it every Thursday is the anniversary of his death.
Yeah, he's died on the same day. He can't have died that many times.
Oh,
he was
God.
one man, one dead.
And Larry Horse would have been in good hands with the Cartwright at the Ponderosa.
Been in good hands with another man.
Dr. George Riegers, perhaps.
Oh, no, the Cartwright didn't swing that way. Anyway, speaking...
Yes, the more often than you care to admit.
Speaking of horses, this Denver Broncos-related crap is for Denver-based Woody Page, because shortly after the NFL draft, Page actually said on Around the Horn that the Broncos' first-round selection of Tim Tebow was the best pick for them, and that Tebow would, quote, mean the same thing for Denver that the arrival of John Elway did. While many booyahs have been way over the top in their praise of Tebow, this is the first time I've heard him compared to John Elway, and as it is far more likely that Tebow will end up like Tim Couch or DeMarcus Russell instead of John Elway, I must ask Woody Page, who are you crapping?
Tebow might come up in today's roar. In fact, I believe it will.
Tom in Peoria says Brian Cushing stated at his press conference today, in response to being suspended 4 games for testing positive for a banned substance, that he initially feared that he had a tumor after learning of the positive test in October, and that he spent the balance of the 2009 season fearful that he might die. Mr. Cushing, you seriously expect people to believe you fear for your life, but at no time went in for any further testing? You tested positive for a substance that only occurs in men when injected, or if that person has cancer. You insist you didn't inject it, and you were scared for your life, but you still didn't see a doctor or even the team physician? Mr. Cushing, steroid rumors have swirled around you since college.
Yep.
You tested positive in your rookie year, and you haven't tested positive since, but it must be cancer. Mr. Cushing, please take your chemically inflated body away for 4 games. We wish it was forever. And who are you crapping?
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, good Lord.
And this is Noach from Jerusalem. Wow. He says that there was an article in Yahoo Sports about the 2011 All-Star Game staying in Arizona, even though they just passed the controversial immigration law. And at the news conference, Don Hooten said Bud Selig was being given the first Taylor's Award by the Taylor Hooten Foundation, presented for educating youth about the dangers of performance-enhancing drugs.
Oh.
Taylor Hooten, Don's son, committed suicide at age 17 in 2003 after apparently taking steroids in an effort to get stronger for high school baseball. Major League Baseball is a founding sponsor of the foundation. Don, giving Commissioner Selig an award for promoting youth education regarding performance-enhancing drugs is like former FEMA director Mike Brown being given the key to the city of New Orleans today. Don, honor your son by honoring someone who wasn't actively complicit in the steroid era. Then after they're done taking the needles out of their behinds, ask Manny Ramirez, A-Rod, Palmeiro, Sosa, Clemens, Bonds, and McGuire, who are you crapping?
I did not know that.
Well, now you do.
Oh, God.
Grizz is calling from his car, and he's on Who You Crappin' on the Score.
Although I've had many craps to give before, this will be my first one for you guys. This was too
Good luck with your first crap.
Okay.
The other night, the Cubs were facing, I believe it's got to be the Reds, and they were facing the rookie pitcher Leak, who I believe made the jump straight to the major leagues. Len Casper loves to bring that up every time they face him, which has been twice, and he has to point out that Xavier Navy was the last player to make that same jump. And Len's quote the other night was, Xavier Navy was the last player to jump straight to the majors when he was a September call-up in June of 2000. So, Len, who are you crapping?
That's what we're doing. Who are you crapping? It's our signature segment. You know what there is plenty of time for?
There's plenty of time. We do have open lines, so if you've got something saying, I don't want to sit and wait on hold.
So jump on in.
Yeah, we're going to get right to you. We can get you up, get you on.
312-644-6767. Come on out and play. You've got Chicago Sports Radio. Who are you crapping? We're in the midst of Who You Crappin' here on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score, 312-624-6767.
And we have an email here from Matt in North Center who says that this goes out to Monrovia, California high school girls track coach Mike Knowles.
Okay.
Last month, South Pasadena High School pole vaulter Robin Laird was the final competitor with a chance to vault 7 feet 6 inches and win the Rio Hondo League title for her school. She executed her vault. The team celebrated while half the crowd cheered and the other half groaned. Knowles pounced, pointing to his wrist and gesturing toward Laird, who was wearing a thin, colorful string bracelet. Said an unapologetic Knowles, "This is my 30th year coaching track. I know a lot of rules and regulations. The rule in this case is jewelry shall not be worn by contestants." Thus, South Pasadena's win was transformed into a victory for Monrovia.
Oh, man.
Laird was predictably crushed, but Knowles was unyielding and following his seemingly bogus claim that he didn't see the friendship bracelet until after Laird completed the event, had this to say. "I didn't notice the bracelet until after she cleared the height and walked by," he insisted. "I had a sinking feeling for her. I didn't want to have to do it, but it's a real rule. It's in the book, not something I made up. About 10 years ago, I had a girl who wore an earring in the 4x400 relay, and it ended up costing us a CIF title. I feel bad for what happened, but I guarantee you she'll never wear jewelry during a track meet again." So, Coach, remembering your former player's crushing defeat on the basis of the technicality, you thought the best decision would be to make another teenager suffer the same shame and embarrassment. Apparently, these teenage girls have to learn rules are rules, because there's always going to be some asshat like you around to nitpick his way to undeserved glory at their expense. You didn't want to do it, but you thought you owed it to her, right? In 30 years of coaching, Knowles has apparently never heard the phrase spirit of the rule. But don't fret, everyone. There's a silver lining. Laird is graduating and heading to USC, where, pursuant to the USC Student Code of Conduct, she'll be successful and good-looking. Knowles can retire to his study, triumphantly polish his undeserved league title trophy, and before he lives out the rest of his years as a disingenuous, petty D-bag, ask himself who you crappin'.
Nice.
Yes.
That's really good. I was wondering where you're going with that, but now I got it.
Doug in Addison, you're on Who You Crappin' on the Score.
This one goes out to Mr. Bernstein, who on Monday, shortly after questioning his own credibility for linking Alex Rios' success to that of the Sox, immediately chastised his partner for suggesting that May 10th might be too soon in the season to call the White Sox done. Dan went on to say they're done. It's over. Well, Dan, which is it? Are they done? Is it Silva, Paul Up, and who you craft?
Thank you, Doug. Here's
some uppers.
Yeah. Wake up, man. If you're going to crap me, hit me harder than that. The full force of the fury. Let's have it. 644-67-67 for anybody that wants to pop on and be a part of this. The Beverly Brewmaster has one for Vancouver Sun columnist Ian McIntyre. Responding to the Canucks' second straight playoff exit at the hands of the Hawks, he predictably found fault with Roberto Luongo. Less predictably, he had a solution for Luongo's struggles, writing that Luongo should be stripped of his captaincy. He noted that such an action, quote, would ease the goalie's burden by far more than a couple of grams of paint on the netminder's mask. Now, let's think about this for a second, Ian. An NHL captain has one official duty. He's the only player allowed to speak on the ice with officials about rules interpretations. Of course, since the passage of the Durnan Rule in 1949, goalies cannot serve as on-ice captains because constantly leaving the crease to argue calls would disrupt the flow of the game. As such, Luongo doesn't wear a C on his jersey and does not actually fulfill the captain's duties on the ice. That privilege goes to Willie Mitchell. So demoting Luongo from captain would have zero impact in-game. With that in mind, I'm sure you're referring to the unofficial leadership responsibilities. If so, you got a problem. Because you go on to write in the very same article that Luongo will be a leader on the Canucks whether he has a C or not. So he currently has no duties on the ice, and he'll be a leader off the ice regardless of whether or not he's captain. If that's the case, then what will be accomplished by stripping him of his captaincy? Ian, there are plenty of reasons Luongo's been bad in the playoffs. He's emotionally fragile, their defense was soft, and the Hawks are really good. But the Canucks will benefit from changing captains about as much as the Titanic would have benefited from changing band leaders. Ian McIntyre, who you crappin'?
That's nice.
Yeah,
Another good one, yeah.
He's always pretty good. The Beverly Brewmaster, pretty good.
That's a very good catch.
Oh, got another one for me. I'm getting killed today.
Well, have you listened to yourself this week?
No, I try not to.
Okay.
It's easier if you don't.
Yeah.
Well, this is Mike in Gilbert's who says, first time crap.
Good luck with your first crap.
For Bernstein. Bernstein, you claim you're a Simpsons aficionado, and your references are typically spot on. But in talking about Monty Burns' Springfield power plant softball team, you brought out the rage of my inner comic book guy. As any fan of episode 17, season 3 of The Simpsons would know, you referenced all the injuries of the Ringers, which called for the team to rely on Homer to save the day. Let's dissect everything wrong with your premise while I open my microwave burrito. The injuries forced the team to rely on Homer. The whole point of the episode was Homer was finally good at something. Then Burns made the bet with the rival and signed all the major leaguers to guarantee the win, and he put Homer on the bench. The injuries forced everyone out of the game except for one notable exception in Darryl Strawberry. What position did he play? Right field. Where did Homer play? Right field. Who's still on the bench? Homer. With 2 outs and the bases loaded, seeing that Strawberry and the pitcher are both left-handed, Burns plays the percentages and pulls Strawberry in favor of Homer, even though Darryl has already hit 9 home runs. The game ends with Homer hit in the head, forcing in the game-winning run while he lies on the plate unconscious. Dan Bernstein, worst host ever, and who you crappin'? Wow. God. All right. Please check your manometer.
You probably know where it's from because I'm going to give this out to somebody who basically has pained our arse this entire day.
Who?
Jake from Sycamore.
What, somebody's petitioning to have...
Yes. So tell me where it's from. You should know.
It's not the Manitowoc?
Yeah.
Home of the Ice Makers. All right, Peter in Urbana will close out who you crapping on the score.
Thanks, guys. A lot of pressure doing this.
It is a lot of pressure.
But you're up for it.
I hope so. But this goes out to Steve Conroy, the post-game analyst on Comcast for the Chicago Blackhawks. After the first Blackhawks win in Vancouver last week, he stated, and you alluded to this last week, the interesting comment that he made about the Blackhawks, the Canucks not being used to an African American who could skate so fast like Dustin Byfuglien. And Dustin Byfuglien, an African American who can skate fast.
Today, Junior.
And apparently, he didn't realize that the Canucks are from Vancouver. The Winter Olympics were in Vancouver, and there was an extremely fast African American in the Olympics in February named Shawnee Davis. So I'm sure they're aware of an extremely faster African American.
The last one got blown up.
No.
Maybe you were having
buddy.
I knew Jason was going to do that, too, just for fun. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Wow.
Who you
Oh,
It's an amateur night.
It all doesn't end well.
Yeah, you were itchy there, Jay. I
all
could tell.
doesn't end
I
well.
could tell, jumpy, itchy, and just you wanted to blow somebody up.
It doesn't always have to. It doesn't have to be a storybook ending.
No, that's true. But you know what?
We'd like that.
You know what always ends well? Really, the roar of the day.
It does. Well, I'd be a lie, too. Anyway, we'll do it. I got a thought on the NFL draft and a couple of people in particular.
Good. I'm looking forward to
After
hearing
we
that.
had our mini camps, we had some mini camps.
I know. It's on the other side of an update.